This is the Welcome to Humanity podcast with thought leader and transformative psychiatrist, Dr. Fred Moss. This show focuses on the betterment of humanity on a global scale. Each episode will leave you enlightened, inspired, and ready to make an impact in your world. Welcome to the show. Welcome to your life. Welcome to humanity. Here's Dr. Fred.
Hello. This is Dr. Fred, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Welcome to Humanity podcast. Here we have just spectacular guests that we get to take on, and usually, I'm very excited, and today even more so, to bring a guest forward that I know or I only know a little bit. And the opportunity today is to bring someone who's really been in my life several times per week for the last several months. While I've been working in the afternoon or getting things untied or taking care of business or tying things up, there in the other room was projects going on, and there has been projects going on. And the projects have been going on are between or along with my wife, Alexandra, is an art project or several projects of creation that are going on between Alex and my guest today, Svetlana Pritzker. So Svetlana's been with Alex for hours a day for the several weeks or months even of our last time together. And I've heard them giggling and I've heard them creating and I've seen their projects, and it's just simply extraordinary. We're all going to get a little look at what makes Svetlana tick and what is the project they've been up to and what is ready for delivery. And it's just an opportunity to meet this person that has been captivating to my wife and therefore in my life every single day, almost every day for the last several months. But here we go. We really get to take a deeper dive with Svetlana Pritzker. Good morning, Svetlana. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on this podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. Good morning. I'm really happy to be here. I love conversations with intelligent people. Stimulating conversations is what makes me tick, really.
Isn't that just great? It really is the only space for which, creation can happen. And if you don't love anything, more than likely you at least love conversation. But for you, it's really a source of joy, a source of pleasure, a source of life. And when I say joy and pleasure in life, I know that I'm hitting you right between the eyes. So say a little bit about who you are, Svetlana, and, a little bit about why are you in my life every day? And what are you up to during the day that has that beautiful smile be on your face, sort of like a regular staple?
Well, who am I is the question for the ages to explore, because I'm not one thing, not the same thing, not even from minute to minute, and not even with Alex. I'm not the same thing. And I've discovered early in my life that being everything and experiencing everything is the key to life. Because what's the point to do the same thing, to say the same thing, to know the same thing? Yes, it creates a little bit of a security, but not for me, because when I'm stuck in the sameness, it really makes me feel like I don't exist, that my world is over. So I'm pushing the boundaries all the time, and I'm pushing the boundaries of Alexandra. Sometimes she goes like, oh, and sometimes she giggles. And that is what I really love doing in life. I'm a life coach. I call myself intentional creativity coach. So maybe that's the only identification that makes me sort of professional, because I really love to create with intention, and that's what I do with all my clients. But I also am a mother, a grandmother, a wife. I am a traveler. I am a snowboarder. I'm a skier. I'm a climber. I'm a diver. I am an artist. I am an author. I have about 30 books on Amazon, and I love to collaborate.
How many books did you say you have on Amazon?
About 30.
You have written 30 books.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that. And I did, some of the other things are just delightful. But on top of that, to have written 30 books that are being sold on Amazon, this like steps you up into like sheer and total international legitimacy.
That is so funny because people believe words. Once you've written something, they kind of put you up there and think that you're an expert. Well, I am an expert in many different things, and I have 2 degrees from 2 universities and many coaching stuff. But that's not what makes me me. What makes me me is open mind, beginner's mind. It's like looking at things and not knowing what it is. I love it. For most people, it's like, oh my God. For me, I love it.
Each and every one of us is really dealing with something, right? No matter whether we're tackling some of the big problems in the world or maybe even the tiny ones, we all face challenges. Now, I've been a psychiatrist for many years, and I've worked with all kinds of people from all walks of life. I've worked with more people than I can really count, from various backgrounds, dealing with more issues than you can imagine, of all sizes and shapes. So naturally, over time, I've developed a number of ways to assist others in gaining a new sense of freedom and empowerment. Now, I'm pulling back the curtain on one of those methodologies, and I'm going public, revealing the process and associated mindset that contributed to using this particular method with maximum effectiveness. It's all laid out in my new book called Creative 8, Healing Through Creativity and Self-Expression. You can pick this book up on Amazon.com in either Kindle or paperback format. And as a listener to the Welcome to Humanity podcast, I'd like to offer you a completely free copy in audiobook format. Just go to welcometohumanity.net/creative and download your free audiobook copy of Creative 8 today. I really look forward to hearing about your Creative 8 breakthrough. Now, let's get back to this amazing conversation.
Welcome to humanity. You did qualify yourself as a certain kind of coach, and I think I didn't hear the exact terminology. What kind of coach do you call yourself?
Well, there is this idea of life coaching, that you know somebody's life and then you coach them. I don't really believe in that. I do believe that we can find the reason, we can find the intention, we can find something that you would like to see in your life more of, and use that intention to create that exactly, or clarify and understand maybe that's what you intend is not for you and you really don't want it. So my work is around understanding what you're about, where are you coming from, where do you want to go, and what would it take. And I call it intentional creativity. You don't just create half asleep. You create fully awake with understanding what will be the result of that creation.
So intentional creativity coach. Now, this is a really interesting distinction, especially given the backdrop of what you're describing here, that you're really your job here in life, or the opportunity that brings you joy and pleasure, is to embrace all of it and not be attached necessarily to any particular piece of it, not have something sort of outcome focused or something that is restrictive. As soon as I call you something, or as soon as you call you something, then you're sort of stuck to the meaning of whatever that is, rather than being this person who's able to embrace and gather up all of life in one fell swoop all the time, like really just be in awe and exploring what it is to be alive. Is that close to true? Are we still on the same page here?
Oh, yes, very much so. When I work with people, and with Alexandra for that matter, I do go into the rabbit hole of their energetic field, which is not a voodoo term or new agey term. We all emit particular vibration that makes other people smile around you, or feel tense, or feel scared, or feel angry. And so when I engage with somebody, I actually amplify everything. So sometimes people get extra angry or extra sad, so they can acknowledge, understand that that's happening. And for me, exploring the realm of emotion is about exploring the life, what this person is about, because we don't like to feel things. We want to hide our feelings. And when you go into it full throttle, you get an adventure, and you get to learn about a person so much. But what's most important, the person learns so much about themselves. So my books and my children's stories are about that. How you can go for it.
Well, Svetlana, let me ask you a question. It seems like, this is an evolved way to look at life. I certainly embrace what you're talking about here. It's more at the center of what Welcome to Humanity as an entity portrays. It's something like, this is what we declare here is how to take on life, like really embracing everything about life, from the misery to the ecstasy, from the uncomfortable to the sheerly luxurious, like really all things being part of components of life that are an opportunity to really just take a big bite into and really get every piece of value from it. Now, I know for me that this has been an evolution of sorts. This is something that I've grown into. It's not something that I've had my whole life. In fact, I've lived a restrictive life before, where I was, self-defined, or I was this way but not that way, or I was doing my best to, focus in on something. And then I have become more expansive now, more relaxed into being that all of the world's experience are something that is an invitation to embrace it. I'm going to ask you, what was there before you were this? Like, what was there? Yeah, yeah. What was there before you decided to take on all of it? Like, what had you be that the only answer here is to sort of agree to take it all on? Like, do you remember yourself
Oh,
before?
yeah,
Okay, talk to
definitely.
us about that. That's what I'd love to hear about.
Oh my God. Okay, I've been born in Ural Mountain, so this is already an environment of a survival. You have to learn how to survive. I have been in the daycare since I was 2 months. I was in a very cold climate. I was in the um, situation in which dogs and cows and who knows what else would get into my cradle because I was outside and all the nature was there.
Wait,
So
Svetlana, you had cows. You had cows in your cradle. Is that what you're talking about
yeah,
here?
they would put their face like goats and dogs and whatever was around there because we were in this little village in which my parents work. My father is geologist, my mother is an engineer, and they were sent to this very rural area to work after they graduated, and that's where I was born. So
Wow.
I was really I was never constricted. Constriction was not an issue. I was a rebel from the day one. I would fight for my freedom with everyone. The kids not so much because kids kind of always saw me as a leader, so they didn't fight with me, they actually followed me. But I was fighting with my parents, with my teachers, with everybody. And when I say fight, I didn't fight physically, but I was this smart one that would always find the right word to persuade them, and they didn't like that because who am I to be right? So I had a long list of people who did not understand me, but it didn't discourage me really. And I would say, like, I hate you, I don't trust you, and I'm not gonna follow you. And that was my life. And I, at some point, I think Louise Hay, actually, I've read her book when I immigrated here. I've read her book and I was like, this woman kind of gets me. And that, I believe, was an opening for me to understand that it's okay to be like that. Not that I always worried about how I am, but I didn't enjoy fighting and being a rebel all the time. So I've learned to turn
Yeah.
my life around and really accept that this is who I am, but I don't need to fight. I can I can go underneath and find the root cause of that misunderstanding. Why people do not understand very often, or understand but don't want to understand, and why the resistance happens.
I really get that in some ways, there's a surrender that changes for you fighting for your rights to just being your rights, just like being who it is that you say is important to you, and that you don't have to fight the circumstances to make that happen. Like, you were able to relinquish the fight, and then you find more freedom in being the full you.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Well, when you now say you've had a couple degrees, and where did you get those degrees? Was that here or there, or what are they?
Yeah, one was in Russia, and the other one was here in Illinois, University of Illinois. And those are degrees of education. I'm a teacher, but I'm also my second degree is psychology of leadership. So where I went with my rebellious self to be the teacher and to master the language, both Russian and English, in order to understand how we use the words to put the spell on ourselves and others, and how you can use the words in a way that really creates the beginner's mind. When people really hear me use the words that I use, they go like, what did you exactly mean? And that is very important to actually trigger the ability to see something for the first time. For example, to know what we all want to know, because what's in the future is really scary. So, but to know, if you look into etymology of this word, is about finding the match. So if you had something before or you read about something, you found the match, I don't believe that's really to know. To know is to be able to experience that. So you know for yourself. And you can find the match in your own feelings, in your own comfort zone or discomfort zone, to understand what it is for you, not to find the match between somebody's word and somebody's word. Or, for example, to reason. To reason, if you look at the etymology, it's also about understanding the course, the matter, right? But we reason with somebody else's words, with somebody else's know. And for example, to think. To think is all about imagination. If you look into etymology, it's imagine, to conceive. Remember this book, Think Yourself a Millionaire, Napoleon Hill. So you cannot think if you think somebody else's things. You have to imagine, you have to conceive something in order to create. And I believe that we are so restricted in your ability to think your own thoughts, your own ideas, that you're so bombarded with information that you have no way or time to integrate, that eventually you just use the know as your thing. And you're no longer thinking, you just know. And that is something that you forget very easily. And then you don't know. Did I make you crazy?
No, not at all. This is I traffic in the same area. I look at this every single day. So no, you're not driving me crazy, and it's so beautifully said that I'm quite certain you're not driving any of our listeners crazy. There's really an opportunity here to look at the difference between what we learn when we say we know something by comparing it to past experiences, whether we're learning or reasoning or knowing something, and really living into that something and discovering for yourself, so you don't have to remember anything. It just becomes part of your being, that you have discovered something and it won't be taken away, rather than learning and trying to remember and all those things that are somewhat related to matching past experiences to certain components of present experiences.
Exactly.
No, it's a beautiful space to walk through, and it seems to me that by default, like if we do nothing to alter our course, we will think that we are advancing by learning and by matching and by reasoning and by knowing. We will think that this is the ultimate level of acquisition of knowledge, and maybe even improperly or maybe prematurely call that wisdom, like call that we have become wise because we know a lot of things. I think what you're suggesting is that knowing is more an exercise of matching something you're experiencing now in the past, and does not represent actual discovery or actually acquiring new experiences that then become part of our actual person.
Right. It's also about paying attention while you're having an experience, because usually we have an experience and we match it from the very beginning. So we don't really learn from experience either, because I know what that is. Even in conversation, you listen to somebody and you go like, yes, 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 because you already know. So
Right.
What happens here is that we are restricted in our ability to use our tools, which is this, to feel, to sense, to touch, and discern what is it that we want to match to this, because this is the experience. My book is called Find Your Match in the World, The Ultimate Love Affair. Find yourself and then find your match. So that part of, we go forward and backwards in all directions of all the cordial directions, but we never go inside. And I'm not talking about voodoo or magic or new age inside. New age inside is a lot of words, but inside means what is the feeling that I am feeling. It's not because you make me feel so or something made me feel so. I have my own stuff that I'm matching outside, right? And now I go like, he made me angry. Not really. I was angry to begin with about that. I just feel the same anger out there. I match it, but then I reason that this is not me who's feeling angry. So it is so important to really understand where the journey begins, is that we use our tools, our feelings, our touch, a sense of touch and smell and everything, and use those inner senses to match that. Once you know what you are, where you end, and somebody else begin, then you can start a conversation without making everything about you, because nothing is about you out there. You cannot really control or do anything about anything. This is the only place where you can, change your mind or change anything.
Yes, quite beautiful, Svetlana. So really what you're speaking to is, this idea of beginner's mind, or this idea of starting from anew, this idea of every experience being unmatched by any previous experience, this idea of just exploring the newness of every second as it unfolds, allows for a certain level of, at least as I see emanating from you, a certain level of joy and freedom as a natural self-expression, starting from zero, starting from really what is here, like always being entertained by the world unfolding in front of us. Is this consistent with what you're saying?
Definitely, because if you don't have to match what you expect or what expected of you, if you only need to match your joy, your curiosity, your desire to have an experience with the experience, isn't that so much easier? For me, for example, a lot of loss touch comes from we are not connected to where we are, right? We connect to people, and we believe that people can support us or not support us, the family who abandoned you or loved you or whatever happened there, and then your next lover or your next spouse or your next child, whatever happens out there is all against you very often. Sometimes wonderful families, but most of the times we always find that fault is out there. So if we always connect to people, we become very social, and we forget that we are biology and geography and genetics that are also somewhat belong to you, not just to them. And then a lot of it is also belongs to where you are. Like if you look at the animals, they survive here. We don't survive unless we build the house and we do this and we do this and this and we grow specific food, and then we may survive or not, right? So, and if you look at any futuristic movie, as soon as as we are gone due to virus or something else, the whole earth is taking over, and now everything is okay and everything is growing and animals are happy. So it seems to me that we've given ourselves a lot of importance, and we forgot that we are also part of that nature and very fragile. We're not kings of the earth. We're very fragile. And if we do not understand the natural laws, cycles of creation here, we cannot really create, because our creation is consistently interrupted by something, by the season of life, by becoming older or younger, or being born is a big change. When you're young, you're happy, nothing bothers you, but then all of a sudden we have a whole set of rules, and if we don't match, we're not a good child, then we're not a good worker, then we're not a good lover, then we're not a good wife. There's a lot of stuff that we cannot match, because this may be not for us. So for me, you were asking about the project. The reason we were giggling, because we were creating 64 archetypes of human ideals. It came from I Ching, but I Ching is Chinese knowledge, and I'm Russian, Alexandra is Ukrainian. We live in America, both of us are Americans. So we've adopted that, and we're both women. So we've adopted that into the feminine perspective. Who are we as the 64 archetypes of human ideal? And so I create the face of it, and Alexandra creates the energy flow of it. And together we create the writings. I am also a poet, so I've done some writings. She helped me edit it. And all of those 64 archetypes boil down to 8 archetypes that we can see in nature. And those are the projects that we're working on right now, the teachings and the classes and the broadcasts and everything is about how can you connect to nature through those archetypes. For example, the thunder. Where is your voice?
What we're talking about here is the distillation in some ways, maybe an organizing distillation to the 8 major archetypes that each of us can find ourselves in that are consistent with the natural world around us. And, maybe really show us that we are indeed just part of the cyclical nature of life. We're just part of this whole process of, the 4 seasons or of life and death or of experiences being interrupted by circumstances. And there's something about really finding our rightful place, like humbly finding our place in the midst of all of nature, and still at the same time being to own the dominion of the magic of what it is to be a human being. Because after all, you and Alexandra are humans, and as it turns out, I'm a human too. So we have at least 3 of us here who meet the human race qualifications. And there's something different about being human, even if we're not kings of the world, right? There's something that humans have that other creatures, plants and mushrooms and dolphins and dogs and the cows that were in your cradle don't have. There's something that us humans have that we like to see ourselves as being spectacular life manifestations. Is there something about being human that does separate us from nature and that we can embrace and, really pay a lot of attention to? The human experience being an upgrade or at least a different experience than that of other life forms. Have you ever thought of that?
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah, as you're asking, I can tell you how I see that. The whole nature sync with the fullness of its being, right? The tree, for example, everything is about to bring the flower. So the tree is very involved in taking the juices of the life and bringing it through and bringing it into the fruition. We have a neocortex, words and ideas. So we create the story about how we can engage with life. And nature does not create a story, it lives its story. So when we create a story, we decide what we should eat, what we shouldn't eat, how we should move, how we shouldn't move, who we need to be in order for other trees to accept us. So what kind of leaves we need to wear, right? Nature doesn't do it. If you're that kind of tree, you're that kind of tree. You're not changing your leaves because you live next to another tree. You remain that same tree. And of course, there is cross-pollination, and that happens in the nature and for the people as well. And I love cross-pollination because that's where brilliance arises, because you get a little bit of everything. But we create this story. Yes, it is an upgrade because we can imagine wonderful things. But if you use it to drive yourself to insanity, it's not an upgrade, it's downgrade. So we use the words, we use the ideas, the stories to create our own story. And sometimes we get stuck in one story. I am the widow, or I lost my child. It's horrible, terrible. And I've coached people, or I was raped, or whatever. There are horrible stories. Yes, it defined that moment of your life. But if you want to live in that moment of your life till the rest of your life, you're no longer living. You are there where you were not supposed to be. You've gotten there by something. Mm-hmm. So our body is a laboratory. This is the laboratory, a brilliant laboratory of creation. And if you use that laboratory to create monsters, yes, you have the monsters. And the heart is also amazing laboratory, but it's not. This is chemistry. From here, and you're a doctor, so from here we have a lot of messengers going through the body. And every time we think of something, amygdala goes on, and it's like, it's dangerous. And that whole dangerous goes through the body. Now you have all kinds of like adrenaline, cortisol, all the stress hormones, and now your life is like that. And the heart is not a chemist. This is the chemist. This is the alchemist.
Interesting.
So when you are focusing on what you love doing and who you want to be with, if you match, I love this, to something outside of you, then your alchemical laboratory becomes bigger. your powers are amplified, right? Even if you love the nature, if you love the tree and you hug the tree, you are two. It's you and the tree, and now your power is archetypally shown, because you don't see your own powers really. So when you work, when you think of nature, if you engage with nature, if you are like, for example, I went to Niagara Fall, like walked under the fall. There is a boat as well, but I decided to walk. My life was never the same after that, because I've survived. I think it's 1%. It was enough for me. It's really cold. It's really scary. But I've taken a very unhealthy, mental and health individual, a young girl, to spiritual travel to Mount Everest, to the base camp. And she threw me literally off the cliff, and I was holding on to her not to die. It changed my life. When you go through the experience without saying, no, I'm not going to go because she's crazy. When you go because you know that you want to experience something to the max, so you know how to deal with people when they have certain ideas that get them stuck, you change. Now fear? What is fear? I've been out in the abyss and back. I'm okay.
Well, there's a couple things that you're pointing to here, Svetlana. One thing is that when we get stuck, at least the examples you used are calamity-based examples, like irreconcilable calamities that end up like owning us. Something traumatic happens where we lose our spouse, or we lose a child, or we get traumatized. And then, that sticks with us. And then or we choose, maybe is what you're saying, to have it stick with us and define each and every breath for as long as we do. But then when we do that, when we choose to stay stuck, we're missing so much of life while we're stuck. And then there's this possibility when we incorporate not just the chemist in our head, but also the alchemist in our heart. And we get a life where, I heard you say the word love, we get to sort of choose, or we get to have adventures. We get to take on new things as a function, maybe of a function of our heart breath. And from there, you get to, walk underneath our own Niagara Falls, or go to the base camp of Mount Everest. And there's an opportunity then to get a new life. Like you said, my life changes. My life changed when I did that. And you'll never be the same having been at base camp with the fear of death, or you'll never be the same having walked under the power of Niagara Falls. There's something, look, Everest and Niagara are, wonders of the world. So it's not like you have to go to one of the 7 wonders of the world in order to get this done. This can happen every day, right? It can happen between here and the store. It can happen between here and the kitchen even. And there's something like, it's an attitude, and it's an attitude of incorporating this heart of mine as an alchemist, as an alchemy source, right? And that may be what I'm hearing you say is what separates humans from the rest of the living world, is that there's a combination here of our brain chemistry and our heart alchemy that can create at least the illusion of a new experience to alter the way that life is experienced by us, by alter the way that we take on the world minute by minute. How's that sound? Is that consistent with what you're saying?
Definitely. You understand me very well. I love how you put it all together. And for me, the key here is that when you say we choose to be stuck, of course it is a choice, but it's not a choice. Very often our chemist cannot stop the reaction. The reaction that was stirred up by a particular event, it just continues brewing, and it's just impossible to stop. So
impossible to stop.
Yeah. So it's not the choice. It's not a choice. It's the choice of the body, because the body wants to protect you. Your mind wants to protect you. It plays it out and out, so don't go this way anymore, and don't love anybody because you lose it. And so this becomes a choice of survival, a biology, and we don't understand that we are part of the nature. If the goat knows there's the tiger, it's not gonna go there, or whatever, the gazelle. So, but we don't. We keep justifying, reasoning that this is a good thing to do, and we should do it, and we have to do it. And when we do certain things, we end up with experiences maybe not as harsh as I used, but I worked with these people. So this is what I've seen. I actually was trained as a mental professional coach, not the medical professional, but I worked with people with multiple personalities, all kinds of dysfunctions, and also all kinds of people stuck in the past for whatever reason, and all kinds of addictions. So, and I was pretty successful with that. And the reason I went to that because I wanted to know why people get stuck and never, leave that dark room. And I understood that this is we become a biology. We are no longer a psychology. And when that happens, we just under repeat, automatic repeat. So it takes a brave soul like you and me or some other professionals that could allow these people to come from depression to the next level of the energetic existence, which is anger. Because people get angry if you pull them out of their misery. And then they're gonna get interested in how to live different. But that anger, that fear and anger has to go. And not everybody is brave enough to take upon themselves to be with the person coming out of the dark room, because that person is crazy. They didn't see the light for a little bit.
You're pointing to the absurdity of us humans to actually choose the familiarity of misery over any opportunity to come out of misery, even if it means coming through the anger stage before you become a wonder stage. Like we instead, like you said, it takes courage to actually do that. And instead, the default is that we would choose, in some ways, I use the word choose loosely, we would choose to stay in our misery rather than take our courage on to deal with the experience of emerging anew, of taking on life again from a new perspective. Amazing that we would choose that, and some of us actually choose that and stay there until the day we die. And it takes something to find people or to find in ourselves an opportunity to look at the world differently than we had been looking at it. Yes?
Yeah, very, very much so. But the problem is when you're in dark room, in the dark room, there is no windows. So you don't really know there is an opportunity. So the biological choice to protect yourself, because at least you know how bad it is, but it's something known, versus to go into unknown, how it would be and what will happen when I come out of the land. Maybe all those dark entities come and get me again. So I'd rather stay hidden. And the drugs actually help the situation because they disconnect you from the real ability to feel and perceive and explore things. They calm you down, so the illusionary feeling I'm okay shows up. So it's like it's okay to be not okay. That state is the choice, but the come out is not a choice because you don't know there is an exit. So for me, my life work is to actually show a person that they have amazing powers, superpowers within. And every person has their own archetypal storytelling, right? The childhood plays into it, of course, society plays, geography plays in it, and biology plays in it, right? I don't talk the same to the woman and to the man and to the child. It's all different. And that's where I use the art, for example. I do a lot of collaging with my clients, and sometimes I do mental collaging. I ask them, how would that look like? How would that look like? How those two match? What is the framework between those two pictures? Because what happens is that you switch on the light and the person for the first time sees something different and it doesn't match. And that's where the beginner's mind begins. When you are able to disturb the known and pull somebody into unknown, but in a very playful and very engaging way, there is an opportunity to show the way, to show the point where things are different. And even if that point is far away, at least there is a little spot of the light, and the person can never be the same, and they don't remember how they were before. Because every time a little bit of this light shows up, it's different. And love, you mentioned love. Love has many faces. So for many people, grieving is a love, right? Or worry is a love. Where's my husband? Where is my child? Where am I? And what will happen to everybody? So this is not love. Love is a high vibration. Love is the state of the being when everything is safe. It's okay to be in love. For many years, we've been taught that, like your mom, How did you do in school? Well, I didn't get a good grade. You are not a good girl, so I'm not loved. So my mom says, I love you and you need to have a better grade. It's really confusing. If you love me, you love me. And if I need to have a better grade, help me. But those two are not connected. So there is a lot of confusion with words and understanding.
Yeah, there's something loving you completely and totally just like you are and just like you're not. Like actually, when I love something, I have to love it unconditionally, not like I love you or I love you but there's like I love life, or I'm able to take on the love of all things around me. That's what I hear you saying. Now, Svetlana, when people are stuck in their depression, a couple different avenues out you've talked about, or maybe not depression only, but discomfort or concern or worry or whatever that is sweeping them under the bus. You mentioned that you like to use art or collaging or interact with someone to show them just a little light, perhaps a little opportunity to alter the way that their life is going inside of a conversation. What is it about us that, number one, has us have the audacity that we can do that with others? Because I, as a coach, am also one who feels like I can do that, or I can, give me an opportunity to pull somebody out of a hole and I can do that. There's that, like what drives me to be me. But there's also this thing about like, why would someone who's hook, line, and sinker interested in not exploring different alternatives, what can we do? Like, how does that person get that little light lit? What happens? What are we bringing to them that has them see that it might be worth the risk of leaving misery to try something new?
What inspires me in that is that I am pretty good at reading the patterns. So I mirror, like literally. I become a mirror, and you can ask Alexandra. She'll tell you how many times I actually do what she does, and she goes crazy. But it's totally okay for me, because when she goes crazy, she sees that. Oh my God, I just went crazy. I need to calm down. And she is an amazing, accepting person. So when I drive her nuts, that is such a fast change, and it moves us to this other place. But she is a healthy individual for most part. Like we all have our own, stuff here, me and you and everybody else. But when I work with somebody, I find what is interesting about them, and I follow that pattern. Like I really can see a person. I also use human design as a conversation starter, and I find their genetic predispositions, their tendencies of how they behave under stress and how they behave when the stress is taken. And then I'm just taking off the stress. And I have tons of tools. I'm really, really well versed in the tools of mental emotional progression, just because I love it, not because I do have degrees, but I love it. So I do what I love all the time. And I'm really versed in how to match and mix and mirror the language of the person. Because when people speak, they don't hear themselves. And when you speak back to them the same language, that drives them crazy. Like when you can tell that you are stupid 100 times to yourself, but somebody else tells you're stupid, you go, woo! Mm-hmm. It is very important, first of all, for the person to see that picture of who am I now? What have I become as a true me? And that is the first revelation. It's like, this is not me. I don't sound like me. You just said something I never could say. I'm like, yes, you just said that. And then I switch the language. I show them how they would be if they wouldn't be under that stress. And then I use the tools that I have, the physical tools, to go in to find that stuck energy, because energy cannot be stuck. By definition, it's a wave, it's a flow. So if there is something that you're holding as a particle instead of a wave, there is a reason. It's to protect yourself, which is okay. You've been protecting yourself for so many years. Maybe right now, would you like to explore, how you would be without that? Maybe it's safe enough, and I'm with you, and I am very knowledgeable, and people do trust me. And we just move through that, like in 1-2 sessions, we move through that stuff. And I personally am not taking clients with depressions, personality disorders, and all kinds of things like that. Now, I did for about 10 years because I was really interested in how this works for me, not for them. And everybody received the benefit of my exploration. And we had a lot of wonderful successes. And then right now, I work with people who are interested in expansion. I have nothing, but I want to be this. Or I don't have money, but I want to be a billionaire. Or I don't understand that, but I do want to understand. And we jump at a light speed. It is so amazing to see where my clients go really fast, like really fast. And of course, underneath there is something that's holding them. It could be a depression, rarely, because if somebody wants something, there is no depression, it's already a desire. It's a different emotion. We get into stumbling blocks, something in the childhood, something in the teenage time, something in the uterus. That people have memories. We hold memories in our bodies. So yes, we can resolve it. Why? Because I've been there, I've done that, and this is my expertise. I know how to go through the stumbling blocks. But I never take the clients who wants to heal their depression, because this is not my client. They need to go to a doctor who will do whatever they need to do, unless they're willing to get a little better goal. Like, I want to accomplish this is my life. Then whatever depression or anger or resentment or whatever is there, we can clean it on the way. That's not important. We can do it. One session, it's enough.
Yeah.
So discovering the truth.
What's that?
I'm saying discovering the truth will set you free about you.
Yeah.
Who you are, what you are about, not what happened to you.
Okay, so I get that you've reached a point where you're picking and choosing your clients, at least the ones to take the real journey with you, are the ones who are not necessarily stuck to being disempowered. Like, you have to have at least some willingness and some interest to find empowerment or new things in your life, and then you get to work with Svetlana. So there's something like, Svetlana, I know that you're up to a lot of things. You're up to the projects with Alexandra, and you're up to projects of your own, and you're unfolding new projects. There's things that I know you're ready to introduce to the public. So I'm going to give you an opportunity now to tell us really some of the things that you're doing. You're clearly on a wonderful pathway of being a human that's worth knowing. But what else can people do with you if they're, what else are you up to unfolding and unveiling these days that is of interest to you and interest to us?
So my foremost joy is to shine the light. My name, Svetlana, means light. Working with clients is actually my joy, my first joy in life. It's not being an artist or not being a project manager or anything like that. I love when, and like you said, it's not about people being stuck. I don't mind people being stuck. I want somebody who wants to go big, like really big, because I get to experience that kind of life without living my life. Because I have very full life. I actually have 4 grandkids, and I'm teaching every one of them. They're all painting, they're all thinkers, they're amazing kids. 1, 3, 5, and 7. So that is enough for me. Right there is my mission accomplished. So if I work with somebody, I want that somebody to have an amazing life, so we can sort of support each other in becoming much more present to this, and discover the tools in a way that makes you more powerful, more present to this next step, next journey, and living many lifetimes, because every time something changes, it changes you in one lifetime. So that's my first joy. And then I love to express my thinking in a way that is easy to understand. And I believe image is a very easy way to amplify what I'm saying. So with Alexandra, for example, we've created 64 archetypal energetic cards. When you take the card and you read the message on the back, for example, and we call it Infinite Flow Oracle, it puts you in its place, because the words that I've used in English, not in Russian, the words that I've used are the words of inspiration, and the words that have the movement and flow encoded inside. It gives you an understanding how you would be if you would join that flow. And then the image is a wavy image, and if you follow it with your eyes, it actually does restore, medically proven. If you follow something harmonious with your eyes, it creates harmony in your mental state. It puts you into alpha state in which you're highly suggestible. So when you're looking at the image, you become highly suggestible, and you read the beautiful, inspiring poem, you're thinking of yourself and thinking of the world changes. So we have that infinite flow oracle already on the Amazon, and we're happy to share it also from our website, insightfulcolor.com.
Insightfulcolor.com.
Insightfulcolor.com. And we also have chosen 8 of those, and we've created a new book. It's not on Amazon yet, but will be soon, in which we look into 8 elements of life, like water and fire and thunder and mountain and earth and heaven and all of that, as an entity, as your friend, as somebody you can learn from, somebody that you can get to know by going outside and exploring, but also using our poems and using our affirmations, which we're so grateful because you, Dr. Fred, gave us your beautiful voice and your energy, and you help us create affirmations sound. So we've released fire affirmation. It's on YouTube, and we will release water soon, and the rest of them are coming. So this is another project that is in the works, and our book is also a workbook. So as you are working through this book, you are learning about elements, you have the images in the book, you have the encoded poems, and you also have journaling pages and inquiries. And inquiry is the door opener. Once you open the door, you can go into the rabbit hole, but it's really safe because it's at your home with your book, with your markers, and you can learn about how water operates in your body, because we are programmed to be positive and happy. And if we're not positive and happy, people start bothering you and sending you to institutions. But being stuck in one emotion is great, being happy and positive, but then you end up in the same institution, and the visitors hours are really limited if you're always the same. You need to be in different emotions. Then you can visit all the places and everybody can visit you, because you work with the angry client, you cannot be happy. They will not understand you, they will hate you for that. You get angry, they kind of go like, okay, I know who she is, and then together you can go up. So it is so useful to get all the states. Like the water could be frozen, it could be icy, it could be snowy, it could be flowy, it could be hot, it could be everything. And so you can also be everything. So that is extremely important. We're also working on the next project, which would be about fears. So there is so much, and you can find a lot of it on Amazon and insightfulcolors.com. We also have a class. Our next class is actually this Monday, 22nd. It's free class. It's going to be on Zoom, and we will explore some of those concepts that we're talking about nature within you and how you can be more natural, more open, and more capable in the world, because you gain the touch with the earth, with the place in where you have to survive and thrive.
So these people, if they were interested in this course or interested in anything you're speaking of, where would they find you? How would they contact you? What's the name of the course? What's the name? How they have to punch something into their computer to find you? And what's the best way to find most of what you're up to?
The easiest way is to go to our website, insightfulcolor.com, and the name of the course is the Elements of Life. But we actually put it on the first page. As you open our insightfulcolor.com, you will see one square that says online course, elements course, and it will be 8-week course. So you can join the intra class, which would be on Monday, and then we will start in March 13. We're going to start 8 weeks, and you can join once or all times, as many times as you wish. And we would love to have you, and we want to make it complimentary so people do not have any restriction to join, because we believe that nature is free for everybody, whether it's here or out there.
Interesting. So this is not a money-making venture at this point. It's something that you're making complimentary or free or available for anyone and all people who are interested in exploring with you the elements of life. Yes?
Right. We actually I make my my livelihood comes from my sessions. I support my clients with my books and my YouTube videos and everything else I do. This is I put it out there for the humanity because I believe contribution is an important part. So not everything is sold, but we all have to make living. So my sessions, which are very powerful and very amazing, this is where I enjoy that and I get reward for it. I also have art, which people commission, and same thing with Alexander. Alexander is a fine artist, really well-trained artist, beautiful work. So this is where we work for money. I actually don't sell everything that I've created for myself because I love my paintings. These are my friends. So most of it stays here. But if you commission or you love something, I can do a print on canvas. But if you love something, so much you cannot live without it, you'll get a print, or maybe sometimes you get a whole painting. But commissioned paintings are about you getting the vision of the best possible you connected to the cosmos and the earth and the generations before you. It's a template of consciousness that when you put it in your meditation room or just in your house, you really receive my session again and again and again. And every time it's different because it's a template of all the possibilities. So this is how my art works, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of contribution to humanity, we want you people to share what we have because we realize there's a lot of stuff being offered right now, either for money or free, and everybody has their own audience. We do have our own audience. I have a big audience for sure. And we are about awareness, not so much about how many people come to my sessions because I have limited time. So I have my sessions, but you can have me through my work. And that's how I see that.
That's fabulous. So thank you so much for sharing all that. Is there any other things that you're up to that you're excited about or that you're unfolding or that you would like to share or, any kind of either challenges or breakthroughs that are here that, as we taper down this conversation today, that you would really want my listeners and our listeners to know that you're up to as well?
Well, I have never fully unfolded the ability to clarify the value of the young generation to the young generation. I've written a lot of children books and I work with some people in their 40s, like 35 to 40. But I really would love to see people who are between 14 and 25 who are still looking for the meaning of their life and who are still receiving a lot of their meaning from the teachers, preachers, and parents who are somewhat responsible and connected for the well-being of the children, which means my children should be like me because it's safe. I'm really good at seeing the future, at seeing the possibility and directing toward that possibility in a way that is not limiting because I know what's right for you, but expanding because I get to ask questions and I get to pull out the truth that is hidden within everybody. So, if anything, I'd love to work more with your kids, not just with you people, because you people are wonderful and you've been there and you've done that and your experience got you there. And now I can help you to move forward or out of that experience. But the kids are open. So why should they go through the struggle when they can actually go to the light right away? This is what I love. This is for me, this is the most important. And when I work with parents about their children, creates amazing result for everybody.
That's beautiful. So thank you for really pointing towards on the one hand, you have to have some qualifications. You have to want to move in order to work with you. But on the other hand, you dig deep and go right to the source, which is our children and the future of the universe. The future of at least this world into the next generation is these kids who maybe don't have to learn by trial by fire and can actually jump to the light at an early age and get a full life that actually works in that direction rather than somehow maybe possibly learn it when they get older. So it sounds like you're a facilitator for bringing the light to our precious children. And I'm sure I represent all our listeners in thanking you from the bottom of our heart for being that source for our young people, because that is indeed, obviously, the future of what's here, and they're special, and they are the direction that the world is going is right through them. So thank you so much for being that person.
Definitely. And I truly believe in fullness of being. So you cannot fix the father and forget the mother, and you cannot work with the child and forget about the rest of it. We are really impacting each other. And so working with people who are in their 30s and 40s right now is really building the foundation for their children to have the best parents out there. So for me, the completeness of being, that's the goal.
Yes. Can really hear that the whole cycle of life is just embedded in everything you do, and you really walk the walk and talk the talk of someone who at least is grappling, if not embracing and loving every moment of the cycle of life. So it's been a pleasure, a deep pleasure, and kind of taking a dive with you and getting a little bit more of what makes you sing. And again, if people want to get a hold of you, is there an email you want to share if someone wants to reach out?
I simplify my way of living. I have tons of stuff on YouTube and on Amazon and everywhere. But if you go to insightfulcolor.com, you'll find me there easily. I also have my own website. It's a big website. You don't want to get lost in there. Insightfulcolors.com. Find me there. It's the easiest way.
That's great. Insightfulcolor.com is the place to go to find out what you're up to, and to, enroll in this course if that's interesting, or to look at what the two of you have created, or look at what's here for people who want to join up or collaborate or be with, or just simply watch you. That would be a space for them to explore, which is at insightfulcolor.com. Awesome.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely. And call me. I am always open. Text me, call me. I'm not that hard to find. I'm always responding.
That's beautiful. And really, with your accent and your beauty, I don't know why anyone would not take you up on that. So just for no other reason than to just kind of converse with someone with such a gorgeous accent. So Svetlana, it has been a deep pleasure speaking with you and getting to know a little bit more about you. Thank you for joining us today on the Welcome to Humanity podcast. You are just a spectacular specimen of human being, and what an honor it's been to really, explore with you what makes you tick and what makes your heart sing. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being open, for being vulnerable, and for sharing with us what matters to you. It's really been a beautiful ride. It's really, really great to be with you this morning. And thank you so much for intruding my home by being with Alexandra every day, because I wouldn't want her being with anyone more than you. So really particular
thank you. The honor is all mine. I'm really joyful and grateful today. It was a wonderful morning. Thank you.
Awesome. Beautiful. All right. Well, you take care, and everyone else, you take care. And really what's here to see, and I think Svetlana's pointing to it, is that it's all here to be embraced, and really all pieces of it, whatever you're going through, it's likely to change, but there's really an opportunity to look at the now right here and embrace and fall in love with it, and be, in adventure in every given moment from beginner's mind, as Svetlana so rightfully pointed out earlier. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Y'all have a great day, a great week, a great life, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Welcome to Humanity. Bye for now.
Bye.
Hey, Welcome to Humanity family. It's Ryan Levesque here, co-producer of the show. I truly hope you enjoyed Dr. Fred's in-depth conversation today. If you did, and if the conversations we share each week are making a difference for you, could you please take just a moment to leave a rating and a short review on Apple Podcasts? Your enthusiastic review helps new listeners discover the show. Your support here really does make a difference. I'd also like to invite you to reach out to a friend or two who would appreciate today's episode. Maybe shoot them a quick text or email, or maybe pick up the phone and invite them to subscribe to the Welcome to Humanity podcast so they can be enriched from the discovery of amazing ideas and insights each week. As always, you can find past episodes along with the complete show notes and links at welcometohumanity.net/podcast. If you'd like to explore how working one-on-one with Dr. Fred can help you break through whatever challenges you might be facing with your mental health or well-being, leading to new levels of freedom and vitality, I invite you to reach out to us directly by emailing Dr. Fred at welcometohumanity.net. That's DRFRED at welcometohumanity.net. www.enlightening.net. Thanks so much for listening, and keep an ear out for another captivating conversation next week. Have a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and indeed, a beautiful life. Welcome to humanity.